Hey again, Peter here again. Well, here we are again in Darwin on a typical wet season day. Just monsoons here in Darwin. Plenty of rain. Um, Now, the topic for this little chat is false prophets. Is look at social media and what's happened with regards to the United States elections. People are accusing people of being false prophets. Because things didn't happen as they expected them to happen with regards to the United States elections. But I guess, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this message is to clear up really what a false prophet is and what a false prophet isn't. Goodness, it's really loud. Hopefully you guys can hear me through this. Well, if you're going to have a look at all the scriptures that refer to the word false prophet in the Old and New Testament, there's quite a lot of scriptures in the Old Testament and the New Testament. And there's a little bit of inconsistency, I guess, through the scriptures. So we have to use our wisdom and discernment to interpret it and all that sort of stuff. So, in the Old Testament, I think it's in Deuteronomy, it talks about that if a prophet says something and whatever he says comes to pass, it says that that prophet has spoken presumptuously. You ought not listen to what he is saying. And in other scriptures, it talks about stoning prophets and all that sort of stuff. So, but from a New Testament perspective, people who are prophetic and prophets, no one would be alive because every single person has gotten it wrong in the prophetic. So it's not wise to call someone a false prophet just because they got it wrong in the prophetic. So I would say to people, please be careful about calling people false prophets just because things didn't turn out the way you expected to. What else have we got here? Yeah. See, false prophets, guys, are people who lead people away from God. Now, whether they're aware of themselves doing it or not is another question. But false prophets themselves are deceived, and they deceive others. Okay, whether they realize they're deceiving others, that's another question. So Balaam taught this other king how to lead the people of Israel astray. He was very accurate prophetically. You see, Balaam was accurate prophetically, and every single one of his prophecies were correct. But you see, he led people away from God. So even though his prophecies were accurate, he was still called a false prophet. Referred to by Peter. Like he was a false prophet, Balaam. So that's really the definition of a false prophet: is someone who leads people away from God, Jesus. And sort of causes people to disobey his commandments. So that's a far cry from someone who's growing and learning in the prophetic. And everyone is growing and learning in the prophetic. No one has it perfected, So I'd think twice about blatantly going on social media and calling people false prophets, or even a false prophecy. I'll get to that. If you look at the life, false prophets have sin in their life, and they have idols in their heart. Normally they have some sort of unconfessed sin in their life. So, I'm not talking about everyday weaknesses and flaws, which we all have, but I'm talking about there's a sin in their life which they're battling with and they haven't fully overcome. And it can certainly affect their prophecies, because everything that comes out of our mouth really starts from what's going on in our heart. Yeah, it's just okay. Now I have to talk about this. The prophecies with regards to Donald Trump becoming the second term president of the United States, and so many prophets have got up and apologised because they prophesied that Trump would serve 2 terms as a president, and they've all used various words and ways of saying that and terminologies. And some of them have gotten up and apologised and said, well, I missed it, I'm sorry. And I guess their heart is in the right place for saying those things because they want to be humble. They don't want to just pretend that they know everything. Their heart is in the right place for doing that. But for me, I don't think that's right. For them to apologise because you see God put something on their heart. They prophesied it. I'm talking about prophets who have not just anyone on YouTube, but prophets who have an established ministry of the prophetic. They have an authentic, they've been accurate in the past, they have godly character, they're just well established, For me, it's too early to say that they're false or even to apologise. Because certainly I can speak for myself, I've had lots of prophetic words spoken over my life and some of them have come to pass, some of them haven't. But one thing I can tell you for sure, not a single one of the prophetic words came to pass how I thought it would happen. Because you see, the prophecy is only a snapshot. He only gives us a couple of pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. And it's when I look back onto those prophecies when I thought, oh my goodness, yeah, that really did happen, but it just didn't happen anywhere how I thought it was going to happen. So I think you can apply that to these prophecies with regards to Donald Trump. We don't understand what's going on, and many Christians have just caved in and been disappointed. Woe is me, because they were, they felt that Donald Trump was representing them really, really well, despite all his flaws and weaknesses and the things that he said and all that sort of stuff. The things that he's been fighting for is pro-church, pro-Israel, pro the Bible, basically. Even though his character flaws are obvious, that he's been pro them, pro-Christians. So I just, false prophets, I mean, if you're going to have this exact definition saying, if something doesn't come to pass how they say it, then really you'd have to say that Jonah was a false prophet. Because Jonah, in the book of Jonah, God told him to prophesy to Nineveh and say, in 30 days, I think it was, Nineveh will be finished. Nineveh will be overthrown. It's finished. But you see, the king and all of Nineveh called a fast. They repented, and God changed his mind, and it never happened. It never happened. So he prophesied it confidently, boldly, and it never happened. And honestly, Jonah was really upset and really angry with God because it looked like God made him a complete fool out of him because what he said never came to pass. But Jonah is in the Bible as a genuine prophet. Okay, so again, the prophetic, it's mysterious. Just because something doesn't come to pass doesn't mean we just so viciously attack people as being false prophets. Okay? So, yeah, that's an example. So, with regards to Donald Trump and all the hope that the church was having in him pushing God's agenda, and helping the church, it's early days, Probably the most profound and, how should I say, number one prophet of just the recent era was probably Kim Clement. He was an amazing prophet. He's passed away. And before him was Kenneth Hagin, amazing men of God. Just such a quality a very high quality ministry. And Kim Clement was the very, very first prophet to prophesy Donald Trump as the President of the United States, and this was well before Donald Trump even thought about joining politics. That happened back in 2007. So, and that certainly came to pass. And do we have... I'd be very, very wary about, and he prophesied 2 terms, so in these early days, I'd be very wary about pointing fingers saying false prophet, false prophet. It's just early days, guys. It's clear that the corruption in the earth, certainly in the Western world and emanating from the United States and all that sort of stuff, whether it's been proven or not in court, it's clear that something definitely is going on behind the scenes, and it's not good. And it's probably going to be exposed, and God has had enough of it. And I believe that this will shock a lot of people, as the prophets have been saying. It will open a lot of people's eyes. Some people will just continue to harden their hearts, but that's just a given, we know that. But some will open their eyes. There will be a revival. I believe there will be a revival, a church. There will be a new age, so I hope these thoughts I hope you can open your mind and open your heart towards these issues, guys. This year is going to be a tumultuous year. I think it is. Could be wrong, who knows? But, I'm praying. But I'm praying that things get exposed. Hey, just the truth comes out. No matter what the truth is, not a truth or this type of truth, the truth that I want. I just want the truth to come out, That's what we all should want. Whether we agree or disagree on things, we should just want the truth to come out. All right. Well, I hope this helps you guys. I hope it blesses you. The date today, I think, is, the 28th of January, 2021. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.